Hey, what is going on? Hey, happy Saturday. Wow, I'm sorry. I should do this before I stream. Stand up, because for some reason my desk is super low right now. So, sorry, you're going to see my waist for about 2 seconds. And I won't talk so you don't hear how loud it is. How's it going? Man, happy Saturday. That's way in my face. Ooh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, how's it going? Note to self, I need to fix chat so it persists chat when I switch scenes. Let me write that down, because if I don't do it, now I'll forget every time like I normally do. Chat, persist, scenes. So awesome. How's it going? Man, first of all, Exor, dude, thanks so much. Tier 1, 4 months. Dude, thanks so much for the sub. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing. 4 months, man, already. That's so crazy. Hope you're doing well. And then real quick, there was a follow in there real quick. Pitchfork, Hades. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Pitchfork, Hades. I like it. I played a little bit of the Hades game. Maybe is that a reference to that? I mean, which is a reference to the Greek god, or I think he's a god. Yeah, he's the god of hell. I think. I don't know. Not good at Greek mythology. But anyways, man, how's everyone doing? What are you guys working on? Happy Saturday. Let's see here. No route. Yeah, no route. Totally first in. Man, I don't even know how you were in. Like, I pressed go live and you were here within probably 15 seconds. So either you get really fast notifications or you're just hanging out, but appreciate it nonetheless. Tinkerfoo, hello from Switzerland. Yeah, how's it going? How's it going? Hey yo, Takano, what's up, man? iForce, how's it going? Hey yo, iForce, JS game, nice. iForks, JS game, that's awesome. Working on a JavaScript game, I assume you mean, that targets the browser, maybe. Super awesome. Yeah, you have to let me know what that's about. I have a couple of buddies that write a framework for JavaScript gaming. It's called Excalibur.js. A little plug for that. Buddy of mine, Kamran, and Eric, amongst other people, are working on it. It's open source project. So anyways, totally plugging his framework there. But anyways, Cowstub, how's it going? Man, haven't seen that name in a while. How you doing? Pitchfork Hades, hello, hello. Black Falcon, hey, how's it going? How are you doing? Geos1, good evening. Yeah, it's morning here, but hopefully it isn't too late there, Geos, for you. Takano, I have a question. Do the USW Flex switches require the controller or can they work separately? Yeah, good question. So you probably saw my social media post that I just posted, because I'm super excited about these. And I honestly wanted these to get in the video, but they arrived while I was editing. So I was like, I could slip it in real quick, but maybe, it didn't, one, it probably doesn't require a video by itself. And then like, I wanted to slip it in, but I was already editing and I was, editing pretty late last night. So I didn't get it in. Anyways, so these Flex switches are super awesome, I think. One, because they're PoE powered. Two, because, I can manage them like the rest of my UniFi network now. And then, which means that I can add VLANs and do all of the cool stuff, which is pretty cool, because right now, and I'll get to your question, the root of your question here in a second. But right now, well, not anymore. As of 1 hour ago, I had these just, these TrendNet super cheap Ethernet switches that were behind the TV in the living room that connected my Wii U, my Steam Link, one of my cameras, my Xbox, and my TV. And this was a perfect place to put them. And then plus, because now I have a PoE switch, all of my network jacks in my whole entire house are PoE. So it's pretty awesome. Pick one of these up, plugged it in, swapped it over, adopted it in UniFi, gave it an IP, done. Now it totally is VLAN aware too, which the way I have it set up now, I think all of everything going back to the switches, but super nice to kind of pull out one wall wart and plug this in where there was already a network adapter anyway. So super, super cool. Do they require the controller or can they work separately? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. You could run the controller yourself. I assume you'll have to have some way to provision them. I mean, maybe you can do it with SSH or Telnet. I'm not sure. I'll look in the documentation. I actually have the mini booklet. And so note to self, Takano, I will look into that because that's a great question, because they're super awesome. And on top of that, they're only $27. I was like, so if you ever think about getting one, don't buy them on Amazon. This is probably the first time I'm going to say don't buy them on Amazon. because everyone's gouging that stuff there because you know, if you buy it directly from UniFi, they're $27. On Amazon, they're $45. So I was like, this is like buy one, get one free compared to Amazon. So anyways, I bought a 3-pack and I couldn't believe that they were only 27. So anyways, I think they're cool. We'll see. We'll see how they perform. I mean, I literally just put them in and adopted them 1 hour ago. I was like, oh yes, let me do this real quick. And then social media posts. So anyways, yeah, great question. I mean, $27, I couldn't, man, it's for a smart switch that's PoE powered. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want. And I stumbled on those in someone else's YouTube video. They just briefly mentioned them and I'm like, that would solve my problem I have now, which is I have little Ethernet switches behind my TVs for all my game consoles and everything. So anyways, because I don't do wireless because, you know, just because, because I have Ethernet. But yeah, great question. I'll look some more, but I'm super impressed with them so far. Just the management capabilities. You basically extend your network and, you know, I'm paying the same price I would for a very dumb one, for a PoE powered one that can be managed with UniFi. So I don't know. I'm excited about them. We'll see how it goes moving forward. Crypto BG, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. No route. I'm finishing off my new RAID array. Bought 4 12 terabyte Western Digital my books and shucked them. Awesome. Man, I mean, I understand the concept of shucking. I've never done it myself and I've never seen the process done. Is it just as simple as unscrewing everything and unscrewing the hard drive inside and removing the SATA controller if it's connected that way and then you're done? Because man, that's pretty awesome. At the same time, I'm like, man, why don't they just sell the drives cheaper? Because now it's just like, now you have this case that is probably going to go in the trash or get recycled, but that's not on you, that's on them. I'm just curious why they just don't sell them cheaper. Is it because they go on fire sale? I'm trying to understand the concept behind this. Is it because those ones that are in enclosures go on a fire sale and then they're cheap and then they're cheaper than just buying the drive itself? Yeah, tell me more. But that's awesome. 4 12 terabytes. Man, what do you your new RAID array? So I assume what's your configuration? Is it RAID Z2, Stripe VDEVs? Like what do you got going on with those? What's going to be on there? Super awesome. iForce, I have a question about your UniFi stuff. What is the cloud thing of it about? You briefly mentioned in the video. Two things. If you want to manage your UniFi network from the cloud, they provide a way to do that. I think they have this thing called a cloud key, which used to be a separate device. It still is. That you can plug into your network and it runs the UniFi network software and allows you to connect from the cloud. That's built into the UDM Pro, which I just got and learned a lot about. And so you then have the option, I think it's an option now, to sign in with your UI.com account, which is UniFi's network account. And that's if you want to access your UniFi network over the internet securely. So, you could argue whether or not that's more or less secure than your own VPN, but they provide that option for you. And so obviously I have mine connected, 2-factor auth, all that stuff. Haven't decided yet if I'm going to keep it open, but I did initially to set it up to make sure it's working. You can, which I've heard, I haven't even seen the option, is to use a local account now. I think after the fiasco, I think a month ago, when they had problems with their data centers and whatever, to where people couldn't get in to their UniFi systems, I think they started to provide a local option too. And so if you go the local option, then it's local, not cloud connected, only within your own network or your infrastructure. And then from there, you would have to VPN in and connect to it that way. So I think that's an option. I remember people mentioning it during this fiasco that it was coming or that it was going to be released soon. I haven't seen that option. It's probably there. But I literally, that video was a progression of this week, kind of, sort of, because, like setting up anything new and then recording it and editing it at the same time. And then at the same time, I'm like, that's my production network. So, So I didn't get a chance to test the local option, and I didn't want to do a super deep dive into that software there because I figured people may or may not understand it, and that might warrant another video in itself. But yeah, I'd if anyone knows, if anyone's using the UniFi network controller, yeah, let me know if you can use the local account. People say you can. I haven't seen the option yet, but oh man, they're changing a lot of their UI too. Anyways, I won't go into detail, but if you're used to the old UI and you click new settings, new devices, new dashboard, you'll be so lost. But fortunately, they provide a search function, which I don't think they did before, for settings. So it's super nice. Hopefully that answers your question, iForce. Takano, along with that, I'm working on the audio system for my Christmas light show. Nice. Need to figure out how I'm going to hide them and such. Nice. One thing I didn't ask, so are you gonna, so I know you're gonna synchronize it to Christmas music. Are you also gonna set up an FM transmitter so that people can tune in to your Christmas music outside and actually see the synchronization? Because I think that would be cool. I don't mean to add like this is like scope creep for you, or I'm tacking on requirements afterwards. But I think that would be awesome. Maybe that's V2, maybe that's next year. But then you might have a bunch of people parked outside your house. But I think that's cool. Yeah. I've seen it before where people have a sign out and they're like, tune in to whatever, 89 something, something lower in the FM and maybe AM, I'm not sure. And then you can tune in your radio, which I think is cool. Anyways, I'm tacking on requirements. I'm living vicariously through you, through this project, because I think it's really awesome. I just haven't had a chance to do it yet. No route. I'm going with RAID Z. Nice. So that should give me 36 terabytes of usable storage. Wow, man, that is a ton. It's more than I have. Yeah, congratulations. What's going on there? Backups, just storage, just data hoarding? Because all acceptable answers and right answers. XR, what's up, man? How's it going? Yeah, dude, how you doing? Dude, thanks again for continuing the sub, dude. Really appreciate it, man. Takano, along with that, the speakers aren't waterproof and they will be outside for a while, so I'm thinking they can hide them with some sort of Christmas decorations. All right, that probably answers my last question is that, okay, you're gonna be piping the music outside. Awesome. That's awesome. Man, I can't wait to see this. Let's see here, Cowstub. I am on the hunt for a disc shelf and it's pretty hard to get it here in my country. Yeah, I won't say they're hard to get here in the US. I will say that the price fluctuates and varies from week to week. I was fortunate enough when I got mine. So I have the NetApp, the one that ends in 6, the DS4246. And I was pretty fortunate for two reasons. One, I got it for around $200, which was the going price at the time. And even then, I kind of worked out a lower deal. I think it was $220. I ended up getting for $200. Now I see they're $300-400. They're all over the place. And then two, I was fortunate enough that the place where I was going to buy it from on eBay had local pickup, and they were only like 5 miles away. I was like, oh man, how often does this happen in the Midwest? Like never. So I got pretty lucky. And I talked to the guy, and they had a ton there. And I even said to him, I was like, dude, you guys are selling these pretty cheap. You can blame me for prices going up, not really. But I was like, man, you guys are selling these pretty cheap compared to everyone else. And he was just like, well, we just need to get rid of them. And I was like, man, there are so many people now, who need this storage at home for multiple reasons. They're pretty affordable. And he was like, yeah, we have so many of them. And they cleared a ton out. And I looked now, and they're like $300-400. So I'm sure I didn't get him to raise his prices. I'm sure he saw the demand, or they only have a few left. But anyways, I hope you can find them. They are tough, and they're super expensive if you buy new. And all the new ones I've seen are, they're not just a shelf. I think like a SAN. They're like a full PC inside, which then the cost goes up because then you got to put a PC inside too, or PC parts or server parts. So. But yeah, hope you find him. Yeah, and you just got to be quick. You got to be quick. Hey, who knows? Maybe I'll sell mine someday. That'd be tough on international shipping because these things are monsters, super monsters. Anyways, Mankuli. Oh man, I got to get this one right. Mankuli Maiten. Oh, nice, you're online. Yes, I am. So Saturdays, 3 CST, which hopefully is most of the world friendly. No route, up goes the volume. Yeah, sorry. I know. I keep forgetting to set my audio volume ahead of time to what my mic is going to be. I'll remember to do that, and probably not. Call me out on it though, because like I don't want to blast your eardrums out, and I talk super loud. So try to get it right next time. I gotta get this right because you 2 comments. Main Cooley and Me 10. Do great YouTube videos. Thanks, man. Just trying my best. Just documenting stuff I'm working on. Hopefully it's interesting to some folks. Most of the time it's just documenting what I'm doing and working on anyway. So it's a 2-for-1, and it's super fun for me. It's like it's my only like creative outlet. Like I write tons of code, and sure I can be creative on code, and I do some front end work too, which I can exercise some kind of creativity. But this is, I used to draw a ton when I was younger, and I haven't done that in years. And so this is the new version of drawing for me, doing something that I'm totally not the greatest at, but learning. Phantom Way, hey, have nested scenes to have it always persist. Thank you. Nested scenes to have it always. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I do. But I couldn't, my intro screen is different from my chatting screen. Maybe I'll talk to you about that later. But I do use nested scenes in OBS. My 2 scenes are different though, and I couldn't switch it really quick to change it, because otherwise I lose it. But yeah, I have a note to do it to myself, but yeah, I should talk to you about that. Phantom Way, I upgraded to TrueNAS Core yesterday. Yes, nice. Not a reference to the game, but I'll check it out now. Now that you mention it. Oh, the Hades, Pitchfork Hades? Yeah. The game is so awesome. Yeah, I was speaking of TrueNAS Core, I was thinking of doing it live. I don't know if this is going to be a good idea. It's like, how much stuff do I want to take on today? Today's my kind of chill. From this after the stream, it's mostly chill. Leading up until now, it's a crazy ton of work for me to do stuff. But anyways, I might, if you guys are interested, let me know. It might be super boring, and we click a button and we wait 10 minutes and we come back and it's there and it's good. But I thought about doing it. I need to do it at some time, and I figured, now why not do it live? PC Geek, hello, what's up? What's up, man? How's it going? How are you? No route. I was here at 22 CEST here a bit late. You're right. I was late. I was about maybe 10 minutes late today, and I knew in my head when I saw it was 6 till, I was like, I'm going to be late, but I had to do some stuff, and I'm like, do I spend more time telling people I'm going to be 6 minutes late or just be 6 minutes late? So I apologize. DeLorean car phone. I like it. DeLorean car phone. Hey, love your content. Thanks for producing. Yeah, no problem at all. Hope you like it. And open to feedback as well. As always, I always am. Let's see here. Phantom Way, I think you can control standalone devices via the UniFi app. It works with APs, but I don't know about switches. Yeah, good call. Yeah, that's a good call too. I don't know if you need the full network controller running. What some people do is configure it once on their main machine and then turn it off, because they have the config necessary to run. You'll just be missing out on your monitoring and metrics and stuff like that. So I've seen people just start it up, configure it, shut it down. And it's like on their PC, not even on a server that's running 24/7. So yeah. Dr. Bell, yeah, good call, Phantom Way. Dr. Bell, regarding your network upgrade, why did you disregard such a feature-rich platform like pfSense for UDM Pro? Yeah, good question. So I will say that I've been using XG Firewall for a while, and so I kind of stopped using pfSense to move to XG Firewall, and that was kind of a long story, but I wanted tighter integration. That's the theme. The reason why I went from pfSense to XG Firewall, and don't get me wrong, pfSense is a super solid. I would go back there in a second if if I didn't buy this new hardware or have new needs or new requirements. So I went to XG Firewall because I needed tighter integration. I don't get me wrong, pfSense is great, but a lot of their plugins just kind of feel like they're on an island, right? Vector Hacker, hey, thanks for a follow, appreciate it. I think a lot of their plugin system kind of feels like it's on an island, and I get it. They have a plugin architecture, and they have their core product, and they kind of want to keep them siloed so that one doesn't break the other. And you know, I for things like IDS and IPS and all the other things that I kind of wanted when I started self-hosting a ton of stuff publicly, it just felt like it was felt like it was, I mean, I don't want to say an afterthought because it wasn't even a thought, because that's not their core product, but you know, it felt like a plugin, but not integrated back into the system. Sure, you could, you know, have extra checkboxes in places, maybe get a new tab, but like reporting was off on its own IP. It's opening up different ports, and a lot of the plugins that I was working with needed that, like things like Snort. And so that's kind of why I ended up going to XG Firewall, which is kind of the theme, is like I wanted tighter integration from reporting, from IPS, IDS, all of my security scanning, like all of that. I wanted a full stack, I guess, product that could do that. Because, you know, I don't know, I just didn't want to spend a lot of time tweaking and configuring and worrying about, you know, plugins that aren't part of the core product. Not to say it's not a bad product. That's the theme here too. And so that's part of the reason why I ended up going to XG Firewall. And so the reason why I ended up going UDM Pro and full UDM and UniFi is because, again, I wanted that integration, right? I wanted tons of integration, not only for my VLANs, for my network, for provisioning new devices, for monitoring, reporting. I just wanted that throughout my network. And I totally get it that I can run run some UniFi APs with something else, because I have been for years. And then I could, you know, pick and choose a different firewall, configure VLANs there, configure it on all my switches. Whether or not they're UniFi, I could still do that, and VLANs would work the same. But again, I just wanted super tight integration. I wanted one place to go. I wanted to provision things in one spot and have that flow all the way through my network. I wanted the same thing for reporting and the same thing for my firewall rules. And maybe I'm lazy, but I enjoy that. I enjoy, you know, this deep, rich integration that I got from it. And so, you know, it's not to say that other things aren't bad products or bad choices. And I don't ever want people to feel that way, because, you know, my opinion always is, you know, use what works for you. And so, hey, Gorfy, dude, Gorfy gifted 521 subs. Dang, dude. Wow. Dude, Gorfy, thank you so much, man. Dude, let's see. Dude, man. Where's Dude, man, sir? Where's the guy in chat whose name is Dude, man, sir, guy, dude? Because I sure say a lot of those a lot. Gorfy, dude, thank you so much. Dude, 5 gifted subs. Blue Fire, Sash Chansky, Hercule, Phantom Way, DeLorean, Carphone. Enjoy your gifted sub from Gorfy. Dude, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate it. Man, hope you're doing well. Dude, thank you so much. Man, lost my train of thought. Dude, thank you. So anyways, long story short, you know, I think that pfSense, fine product, XG Firewall, fine product. I think that MikroTik switches are also fine. And I don't want people to feel like I'm because I moved to a different, you know, I guess, platform, that I think that there's anything wrong with those. It's just maybe I'm getting lazy as I get older, and I'm just like, you know, I want to do one thing. I want to do stuff in one place, and you know, and just have visibility and be able to observe my entire network in one spot. So yeah, but I don't know. It was super fun to do, and you know, I've been testing and trying a lot of stuff over time, and you know, I like I said, I've always just been on this journey to find like the deepest, richest integration that I could find without spending, without going full-blown enterprise stuff. You know, because I even considered Cisco Meraki stuff, because I think that stuff is fantastic too. But now we're getting into real like enterprise gear. And a buddy of mine, they have all Cisco while they're moving over to Cisco like Meraki stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds cool, but it's, you know, it's pretty expensive. I mean, they're charging business prices, where I felt like UniFi, you know, is kind of, you know, charging Soho prices, you could argue that some of their stuff is priced higher than other things. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, I'm going on about that. Anyways, so yeah, Meraki was definitely in the running, but when it came down to it, I was just like, I can't really spend that much. Like I had to save up for this purchase. And again, like all the stuff you see on all of my videos, purchased my own money. Like I've never taken anything from anyone for any kind of review. So, and I value, the things I purchase, and I put a lot of time and research before I purchase things. And so I also don't want you to ever think that like, hey, this thing, you got it for free, so like that's why you're doing it. No, I went to UI.com, added it to cart, and checked out with my credit card. So yeah, hope that gives a little more context too, because it's not just like I didn't consider all those things too. Phantom Way, you're one of the most entertaining tech streamers. Thank you, I appreciate it. Good afternoon, Phantom Way. I shook too. You save 50% on drives. Yeah, I got to get into this. I know that Bite My Bits is super into it, and Craft Computing, Jeff, he's not, and so there's always this battle between those two that I like, or camaraderie between shucking and used enterprise. Me, I'm kind of on the consumer grade path, but we'll see. I should at some point just to do it. Shucking is not worth it here. You mostly get some cheap SMR drives, which you can get cheaper alone. iForce, good to know. No route, that's pretty much it. You have to undo some annoying clips. There are some videos on YouTube that describe the process. I need to watch them. No route, it's going to be in a RAID Z1 pool. Okay. Phantom Way, I prefer to keep things local without everything calling home. Yeah, I totally agree. I had to set it up quick and dirty. These things, I mean, they have the option to send, usage and analytics stats to, phone home. These are obviously, nicely off by default as far as, monitoring and measuring and, analytics for them. But you're right, like just logging into, UI.com is a signal to them to say, hey, this IP is using our service. Yeah, so I totally agree. And I'm definitely going to reevaluate it. I have to also reevaluate my VPN too. One thing that I'll say too that, is a little bit, disheartening or kind of a letdown is, VPN solution on these things. Every firewall I've had before, Edge firewall, has had a VPN solution built in that was pretty decent. I mean, OpenVPN, it's not WireGuard, but OpenVPN. And, UDM Pro doesn't have a great solution for that now. But, it's all software. And so that's not to say they won't do it in the future. I might not hold out, might set up WireGuard, behind my firewall in my Rancher cluster. Until then, we'll see, that's definitely something that, I've kind of been like, oh yeah, how am I going to VPN in now? Now I got to go, I feel like I'm taking a step backwards. Because like I said, my VPN's always been on my firewall. Not anymore. Sorry, I need to get a drink. But these are all great questions. And all great points too. Creepinson, hey, how's it going? How are you? Man, I saw your birdcage thing in the community project in Discord. Nice, congratulations, that's pretty awesome. I'd like to know more about that. I just perused through it this morning. No route, by the way, I used discprices.com to find better price. For me, Amazon in Spain was the cheapest, €15 per terabyte. That sounds pretty good. CalStub, I have changed my all core switches, access points, and GPON to Ubiquity, and it works like butter. You're gonna say better, but I almost said butter. But anyways, works like butter. In the router, I prefer MikroTik reliability, although Ubiquity has good switches, but they have one of the bad routers. Still very hard to get hands on Ubiquity switches because it's very expensive here. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I hear that a lot. It's pretty easy to get them here. Somewhat through Amazon, some things are there, but I found that just going out to, like a lot of consumers, we just, a lot of people buy off Amazon. So that was my first thought, and I'm like, okay, fortunately one of the comments was like, hey, some of these things are like half price, just going out buying them direct. And I'm like, yeah, why didn't I think of that? Just, I guess the state of we're in. So anyways, at least in the US, going directly to UI.com is pretty, it's cheaper than Amazon, I'll tell you that. And shipping 2-day, no problem. No problem. I was just like, all right, I can do this. I can buy direct. But yeah, Takano, oh, thanks for answering, iForce. Yeah, no problem. Takano, yep, potentially FM transmitter and audio system for people walking. Yeah. If I recall, there was a project for the Raspberry Pi that could turn them all into an FM transmitter. That's awesome. Yeah, I had a FM transmitter back in the day that I plugged into my MP3 player that then I could tune my radio in my car because I didn't have a USB cable or anything in my, my old junky car back then. Didn't have anything, not even a headphone jack input. So I bought an FM transmitter. That's how I listened to my iPod. Oh, I forgot all about that. I probably still have the FM transmitter too. It was awesome, but super low powered. I'd still get static within my car. Let's see here. iLoot, Tim acting as a stakeholder for at Takano's Tech Up. Yeah, I'm totally acting as a stakeholder in Takano's project for sure. Coming in, adding requirements, and then walking away. No route, data hosting. Mostly awesome. The important stuff is in a data center somewhere. Yeah, I totally agree. My important stuff is backed up in a data center somewhere too. Enzok 94. Hello, how's it going? Gorfy. Whoa, haven't watched the vid yet, but you're getting a UDM Pro. What's the VPN solution? That's exactly what I was just talking about. TBD. I honestly think it's going to be WireGuard because why not? I mean, I got OpenFire. Jeez, can't talk today. OpenVPN. So I got OpenVPN for free, for many years because it always came with my firewall. So might be a time to check out WireGuard. Takano, very cautious though, since few FCC regulations and stuff. The Pi doesn't have a limit. It just blasts. It can also cause a lot of harmonics and interference on nearby FM stations. Yeah. I bet. Yeah, and you don't want to. You don't want to mess with the FCC. I mean, but I've seen it on people's houses. Like when there's a neighborhood in my hometown, we drive through every Christmas Eve, and some people will have tune your stereo into yada yada yada, and but yeah, I guess you don't want to crank it up too far. So I might have to purchase an FM transmitter that can be limited. Yeah. I mean, you don't even have to do this. I don't mean to plant seeds and stuff like that. I just think it would be cool, especially, if you're driving by your house or whatever, or walking by. Well, not walking. I don't know. Do phones have FM transmitters? I think, I don't know. My Android phone used to. I don't know if iPhones do. You could stream it too. Oh yeah, now I'm going all out. Stream it. Stream it. Phantom Way, was I already on Northern Lights? Guess my redeem was pointless. Oh my gosh, no, I know. I gotta do this again, sorry. So part of, so if you were in last stream, you'll notice that my bot wasn't entirely working properly. And that was due to the network upgrades and stuff I had going on. So I had stuff in pieces and some of my services halfway migrated. And so I was I was being very coy about what was going on, but in the back of my head, I knew it was my network upgrade, but I didn't want to say, yeah, I just upgraded my whole entire network and all this stuff. But there was one surprise, and I'm going to do it right now, that when we ran it locally, I was actually getting a lot of the flashing lights, which I should have just seen. So let's go, let me do this. It'll take literally 10 seconds. Okay, he's up. So I'm running the bot locally now. I apologize. Note to self, really fix the bot. Because I've been doing a ton of, there we go. He's back online. That means he's online. And then he's probably getting caught up. So those are probably for the subs. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. And then one more thing. Sorry, I'm talking to myself only because I'm I would show you my screens, but some of it, it's infrastructure stuff that I probably shouldn't show, even though some of this stuff isn't exposed publicly. Still, and scale him down to 0. Jeez, my list of things to do is growing longer and longer. There we go. So now, and then you were saying Phantom Way, Northern Lights, you redeemed. I apologize. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Northern Lights should be going. There we go. Maybe? Yeah, go for it. There we go. So I apologize for that. I need to fix that. But I think, anyways, I need to straighten out a lot of my network, and that was what I was going to do tonight. I just had to like do a quick migration, move everything over, but all of my services are moving somewhere else too. Anyways, thanks for the reminder on that and keeping me honest and getting that working. XOR, well, there you go. Like not changing colors, there we go. I just fixed it. iLude, local FM is legal if you stay under 0.01 microwatts. I don't even know how many that is. Probably, I don't know. Is that low? I'm not, I don't, yeah, that's interesting. I don't know how far does 0.01 microwatts go. I think I'm in my head, it's I understand that it's energy or emitting, you know, a signal, but like how far does that travel? 3 meters, all right. Wait, 3 meters, only 9 feet? That's okay. Well, those people in my hometown weren't abiding by the FCC regulations. And it probably explains like why my FM transmitter in my car was sometimes I get static. Zoe25, hey Tim, really liking where the channel is going. Thank you. I'm working a lot on the same stuff. Nice. Wanted to know if the UDM Pro can do gigabit with IDS. I have symmetrical gigabit and I'm deciding to buy one to build a PF Sense box. Yeah, great question. So if you turn on IPS and IDS, they have a chart. And it's funny because they actually have a slider too. And yeah, Gorfy, you nailed it. So they have a slider that you can adjust. And so on the UDM Pro, I think as Gorfy says, it can get up to 3.5 gigabit per second. If you need to go above that 10 gig, because it does support 10 gig on WAN, you would probably have to tune it and turn it down and turn some of it off. You know, so there you go. If you have symmetrical up, down, 1 gig, I think it'll work for you. And they have some pretty decent documentation too. They talk through it about the different policies you turn on and how they affect your speed. So yeah, thanks Gorfy for that. iLude, it will be your local ham radio guys that will get on your case. Yeah, good call. If they can bring in the FCC if you don't follow the rules, most are really nice and helpful though. Yeah, it's interesting. I always forget that there's a huge group of people doing ham radio stuff and seeing how far they can broadcast stuff, which is like I knew nothing about and I still know very little, but I know they exist because I'm interested in space weather and solar flares and auroras and stuff like that. And a lot of the people that are also doing ham radio stuff are interested in solar flares because that affects the signal, that affects things on Earth. So I was like, that's how I even know that that's a thing. But yeah, good information. Takano, so I just searched it up. The Flex Mini doesn't require a controller if you're using it as a dumb switch. It uses VLANs and such. You need to have the UniFi controller running. Awesome. But I'm curious though, if you could just provision it once, like I was saying earlier, just provision it with the settings and then turn the controller off. You know, basically like that's your GUI for the time being. Maybe not. But I've heard of people doing that with the access points, you know, because they're not super techie people like me, but they want a good access point. And so they just provision it, set it up once, and then just, yeah, never open the app again until they need to. No route, resub. 2 months. There we go. We got some lights going flashing too. Dude, thank you so much, Noel. Appreciate the sub. Man, 2 months Prime. Thank you so much. It's crazy how fast time's going by. Let's see here. Takano, yeah, that as well. Let me see. Check for yeah as well. Doesn't bother me. I'm just running a spinning out of a Docker. Yeah. Vector Hacker. I'm writing a CQRS application. Whoa, no lag. Nice. What's a CQRS application? I should know this. Maybe not. Yeah, let me know. Gorfy, I'm too lazy too. Wait, what are we going to? I'm too lazy too. Oh, about the private network. I feel like the more I get, the more I think, and for me, it's not totally lazy because you see, I do a lot of crazy stuff. I think for me, it's just like, I want to compartmentalize all that stuff and be like, you take care of it instead of me taking care of all of that in my head. But yeah, also I'm getting lazy too. Let's see here. Corfy, enjoy the communities, lady and gent. Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, I'm getting caught up. Wow, thanks for the sub. Yeah. Corfy, 100%. There are other projects I want to spend time on other than just spending my time maintaining my network. There's much better projects than UniFi, honestly. They just take time. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. You didn't get 2 for 1 on the UDM Pros like I did? No, man, no. I wish I did. Did you order directly from UI.com or did you get it through Amazon? Because man, yeah, I went through UI.com only because Amazon only had one piece that I wanted. Third party. Yeah, third party, man. They're going to be missing some inventory, and those are expensive pieces too. Hold on one sec. I need to tie my shoe because I keep stepping on it. All right, there we go. Back in action. But yeah, I totally, I went through UI.com and they must run a tighter ship than Amazon third-party sellers. But no, not 2 for 1. Would have been nice, would have saved a lot of money, but not didn't happen. Malachi, yeah, Meraki is nice, but not cheap. Also not a fan of licensing. Oh, that's a great point. I know very little about Meraki stuff. I just know from a friend who's like, yeah, we love it at work, and he works for a medium-sized company, and they're like, yeah, we love it at work so much better than the other Cisco stuff and all this stuff. This is his words, not mine. And so I didn't even ask about licensing because I'm kind of like, if I buy the thing, I get a license to use it for, I assume, indefinitely till the software doesn't work anymore. Oogie Pawa, UniFi is pretty expensive too. Yeah, I agree. Not as expensive as Meraki. I think that was what I was contrasting, a couple of my decisions. It's much more expensive than, Mikrotik, however you pronounce it. Not as expensive as Meraki. So I think it's kind of middle of the row for Soho stuff. CalStub, you can go for Arista instead of Cisco, and you get enterprise gear very cheap on the used market. Yeah, I think that was my goal for a long time, is like I was kind of holding out for a decommissioned 10 gig switch from Arista. But then I was like, well, I was waiting a long time. And then on top of that, I was just kind of like, well, now I'm going to be back in the same boat where I have these islands of platforms, Arista, some UniFi stuff, and then XG Firewall or pfSense. And I was just like, kind of wanted to wrangle all of that into one. Awesome, Higgy. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. But yeah, definitely good point. I was holding out for a while, CalStub. Man, I need to figure out how to pronounce your name. Mainkulemitan. When will we see some Vault videos? I didn't see part of the stuff that got bleeped out, but let me know. Phantomway, the 8 terabyte shucks are not SMR. Nice. No rock correct, my 12 terabytes are SMR either. Fill me in on what SMR stands for. I don't shuck drives. I should know this term. Malachi, yeah, when I moved up to the UDM Pro, I set up WireGuard and Docker. Yeah, sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan to me too. Because neither firewall I was using prior offered WireGuard, so hey, I can't really fault UDM for not providing that either, because I haven't found one yet that provides it. But I think pfSense is going to include it at some point. Malachi, nope, said that. Phantomway, can't wait for WireGuard to go mainstream. The only thing I think it needs is remote route push and have some sort of orchestration tool. Yeah, good points. I played with it a tiny bit and I got it working. It doesn't feel, so if maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but it just doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel consumer friendly yet. I do love the fact that, it spits out this barcode in a terminal and I get to scan it and all this stuff. That's cool, for sure. It felt like, some of the other things I've used at home, like Homebridge and stuff like that, where it's like, there's this back end piece that's, really solid, but it's going to require some front end piece to be a little more consumer friendly. And I feel like that's the point at where they're at now. And I mean, they should be focusing on, the back end and making that solid, because without that, a UI or whatever, making it more consumer friendly or better user experience around the whole thing won't mean a thing if the back end's not solid. But yeah, I totally agree. I'm excited about the evolution for it. Include null and null route. I love it. I don't like shucking WD drives, 5400 RPM. No, thank you. LOL. Data hosting meant data hoarding. Okay. Gorfy, yeah, I did hear that answer. I set up OpenVPN on my NAS for now, for the time being. Yeah, it's also a great solution too. Include null. I have a 100 terabyte unraid server. My parity is a 12 terabyte WD shucked. I'm going to replace it with a 12 terabyte Seagate Exos. Interesting. Oh man. I think I have one or two more 5400 RPM drives in it I want to replace. Yeah. Man, you sound like you have quite the setup. 100 terabyte unraid server. How many disks is that? Just out of curiosity, how many disks do you have in that array? What size are they? Well, you're saying 12, but that's maybe. Yeah, let me know. QR code on the mailbox to get the Christmas music stream. iLoot, I like this. I like it. Yeah, or just like, www.techno.com/Christmas. Yeah, that sounds awesome. Let me see, 3 meters. Yeah. Now I'm getting caught up. Okay. On reason I bypassed the USG because I have fiber in my area. Oh, only reason why you bypass. Okay, because you have fiber in your area. Takano, I would need to figure out if there are and ham radio groups in the area. I haven't heard much of them. Yeah, because you're right. Those are going to be the people that you're going to be ticking off for sure. Lightning Blade. Hi, I recently found you on YouTube. Thanks for videos. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks for making it all the way over to Twitch. It's a giant leap, and it might not sound like it, but it really is. It's a giant leap to go from YouTube to Twitch, for sure. I know it's just clicking a button, but a lot can happen in between clicking that button, so I really appreciate it. Whoa, those lights. Yeah. This is what should be happening normally when people sub or bits, is just this crazy light party, and I think everyone in here at some point in time contributed to how my lights should either behave or colors they should change at some point in time. And so it's all custom code that I'm writing, and as people give me ideas, I'm like, cool, let's do it and let's see if it works. Zoid25, so are we gonna see a future video, your NVR solution? Yeah, good question, Zoid. I'm totally on the fence about, yeah, it's a great question. So another thing about UDM Pro that I'm not terribly excited about is the NVR solution, right? I know it has Protect and it has Protect built in, and it has a slot for one hard drive, which, may or may not, Dang, Gorfy, hey, dude, thanks for gifting a sub to Zoid. Man, dude, they have given 50 subs in this channel. Dude, Gorfy, dude, thank you so much. Wow, man, dude, really appreciate it. The lights totally should have went. I don't know if they did. If they didn't, I'm sorry. I think I can click a button somewhere to make them do that. But dude, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And Zoid, appreciate or enjoy the gifted sub from Gorfy. Back to the NVR stuff. Their solution looks okay. And if you know me, you know that I've been using Blue Iris for years. I've been using it, I think, for 7 years or something like that. So a long time. And I've invested in just generic IP cameras over time. And some of those are wireless, some of those are PoE, which is another reason why I got that switch. And they're just generic IP cameras. And so Blue Iris has like a huge long list of cameras that they support, IP cameras they support, and even non-IP cameras, even USB cameras, you name it. And even connecting to software that can expose, certain streams on those cameras. So a ton of support. I mean, Blue Iris has been doing it for a long time. So will I use the NVR in UDM Pro? I don't know. And mainly because they only support their own cameras. which I get it. It's their ecosystem. Totally, I understand. It's their ecosystem, and they're going to make sure that their cameras work and are compatible, and they don't want to take on the support of the rest of the world's cameras. I think the short version of that. And so I'm mildly invested in cameras. Could I go out and buy like a lot of UniFi cameras and replace all mine? Sure. It would take some money though. But then on top of that, I feel like their Protect system isn't as full featured as Blue Iris, for sure. Like Blue Iris has been around for a long time. I'm not even saying that that one's perfect, because there are some clunky parts of Blue Iris, like, and that's not to put them down. I mean, I think it's one guy building the whole entire thing. He's been doing it for years, but it's fantastic. But it just doesn't feel as modern as like a newer camera system should feel. Maybe like Ring or Google Nest, their solution. And that's all just my critique of usability. And so, because it is a very, very tech oriented product, Blue Iris is. And so anyways, I'm rambling. I don't know that I'm going to use the NVR there. Like my Blue Iris runs on my infrastructure right now, which is on Proxmox, and I have a lot of redundancy built into my existing system and for my cameras, and my storage. So, not only are my virtual machines running on RAIDs or array with, redundant power supplies, redundant network, a redundant disk on ECC RAM, the storage is too. And so the storage that Blue Iris used to save my videos is on my TrueNAS. So then to kind of, to make the decision to jump all in with UniFi's Protect and go down to one hard drive, buy all their cameras, lose some of the customization that I have set up in Blue Iris. Like you can trigger IoT stuff. You can do a ton of stuff. To do that, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, the answer right now is no. And to be honest, I didn't even put a hard drive in the thing. I did not put one in there. I'm like, it might be cool to kind of look at, but one, I don't have cameras, and two, I just didn't want to use the extra power. I do think that there should be 2 hard drive slots there, for sure. I think they kind of skimped out on that. Because like, why wouldn't you want 2 hard drives in something that's going to be on 24/7? That is, that's protecting critical data like video. So I think that this is kind of, even though it's the UDM Pro, I feel like there will be a UDM Pro 2 sometime that will address some of that. I don't think they'll ever address the camera situation unless they're finding that people aren't buying their cameras. But then it's like, okay, why would they even develop that software and that piece of functionality if they were going to support other cameras because people weren't buying their cameras? Anyways, these are all things I think about in my head. So great question. I don't think that I'll have a video going through it because I don't think I'm going to use it. Honestly, I'm pretty firm on that one for now. Because even though Blue Iris, yes, I pay, I don't know, it's maybe $60 or $45 a year when a new version comes out. Sometimes that's a year and a half. Sometimes that's, 1 year. It's a couple bucks, a day to have, my system totally here on-prem and run it on the infrastructure I want to run it on and connect any commodity camera I want to it. It's I feel like it's a pretty good deal. Anyways, I'm rambling about that. Don't think I'll have one soon. If anything changes with UDM and they start supporting commodity IP cams, yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to check it out. But as I said before, haven't even plugged the hard drive in yet because I don't even own one of their cameras. Not to say it's not a good solution. Like if you have no cameras now and you have a UDM Pro, yeah, absolutely. Like I would jump on it. I would jump all over it, but I have stuff in place now. Sorry, don't mean to go so long into that, but I figured, I spoke very highly of UniFi. I do still, but at the same time, these are fair criticisms as well, and so I gotta see both sides of it. So yeah, for now, UniFi Protect, not using it. CQRS, command query responsibility segregation. Nice. Software architecture pattern, command query responsibility segregation. I need to look into this. Oh man, I'm a software developer, but I didn't know that acronym, so I need to get on it. Garfy, sorry for pushing you over the edge. Context, pulling the trigger on the UDM. No. You contributed to it a little bit. I'll say you did. But I feel like it was, it was, for me, it's been a long time coming. And so I had to decide if I'm gonna, totally start, I won't say standardizing, but consolidating what I'm managing. So you definitely did add to that. And the buy one, get one free, I was like, maybe I can get one buy one, get one free. Black View, oh man. Black VQ Vanquisher. I think that's leet speak, but if not, it's Black VQ 35HR. Dude, thanks so much for the sub, Prime. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Let me know how to pronounce your name because I'd love to pronounce it properly. But thank you so much. SMR means shingled magnetic storage. CMR is conventional magnetic storage. Man, I learned so much from you guys. Thank you so much. No route sent you a link about SMR versus CMR in Discord. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Is it in my storage? Maybe, I don't know, but I'll check it out. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. Haven't that shucked a drive yet. I feel like I'm alone here. Yeah. Techno, so SMR is like house shingles where it writes data, then when it writes more, it writes like halfway through the previous data, makes it horrible for NAS solutions since lots of writing and such. Okay, I can visualize this now. No route, I tried at least. Seems like I'm not allowed to, just Google it. Oh yeah, that's a great article about it on Serve the Home. Yeah, you can't in general. Throw it in storage. If it's storage related, put it in there. Sounds like a good place. Gorfy, I actually enjoy 5400 RPM for data. Hoarding, less power, longer lasting. I'm just pulling media for mine. Yeah, that's a good point. SMR means, yeah, you guys are on it. I love it. Shingled magnetic recording. It's higher density recording tech that overlaps data. Okay, so when you overwrite a sector, the drive has to cache and then rewrite the data that overlaps too. Thank you, Include Null. Awesome. Include Null, 3 12 terabytes, one is parity, 1 10 terabyte and 8 terabytes, 2 terabytes SSD cache in a RAID 1. Oh man, and so this is your huge storage pool. Man, that is pretty boss, man. That's crazy. So this is what makes up your 100 terabyte array. Crazy. Let's see here. A lot of questions, I think, about the UDM, which I totally agree. There should be. Still don't have a hard drive either. Hoping I can tap into Samba, maybe. Oh, this is talking about UDM. Ilude, touch base with me in Discord. Oh, yeah. You guys are talking about something else. Yeah. Let's see here. Corby, Techno 10 was joking. No one spends 400 off peer pressure. No, I know. No, I'm just saying, like, all of these things were kind of like, because I in my head, I was like, maybe someday, because it seems to get pretty good reviews. But the thing mostly I was holding out for is I was looking for an Arista network switch. And then I have a link in eBay that I just look at every 3-4 days. I'm like, these things are going up in price. They're not going down. I should have bought these like a year ago. And now they're like $100-$200 more than when I looked, 6 months ago, a year ago. And so, yeah, I was just kind of going for it. But when people say they get one, I'm just like, that's just another nudge for me to do what I already thought I was going to do anyways. Black VQ 35 an hour. All right, got it now. Or HR. Oh, Black VQ 35 HR. Got it. Awesome, but thank you so much for the sub. Appreciate it. I'm just crushing this this drink. I love this stuff. It's cherry coffee. Aha, it's so good because it has caffeine and coffee flavored with cherry, which sounds gross until you try it. I think the secret's out on it though. This was always the last one that was on the shelf, this flavor, and I thought, people don't know what they're missing out on, but I'm going to stock up on it. Anyways. Let's see here. Joking. Techno, just saw your Reddit post on the network upgrade. Yeah, I just posted my picture. I've been torn a lot, like posting my stuff there, and I don't know. I'm always torn with posting it because I'm like, I don't want to seem like it's totally self-promotion stuff, which it kind of is, and that's why I was just like, you know what, I'm only gonna like post like original content there. And I'm not going to post my videos there because, I didn't want to put mods in a bad situation. And I even reached out to them and they're like, no, you're totally fine. Totally fine. You're within the rules, and you always, they said to me, totally fine. You can post your stuff here. You're within the rules. You always provide context with your post. And on top of that, you follow up to all your comments. So they saw my stuff and I was like, cool, because that's part of my thing. I'm not just like here to swoop and poop stuff here. I'm here to like have conversations with people. But then I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to create original content. I'm not going to, I'll just going to let the YouTube algorithm do its thing and not like try to blast that on Reddit because, there's a lot of people posting stuff there and I've been torn. So anyways, yeah, so anyways, so I just posted like just the nice shot I thought that ended up being my thumbnail, but I took that picture before because I don't know, I thought it looked nice. So anyways, yeah, I posted a picture there. Panther Silver Elf, I like it. Panther Silver Elf. What up, Tim? Hey, how's it going? Sedated. Any lessons learned from looking back in your recent network upgrade? I'm about to do something similar myself, redo wiring, patch panel, switches, etc. Yeah, great question. Yeah, so this is like retrospective. What did I learn? Well, a couple of things. So what I learned from doing all that, first of all, I'm so glad I did research ahead of time to kind of understand, what was out there. I know that, so I have, if you saw in the video, like I have an existing patch panel that's there. And I have this just wall of mess, it's better than a shelf of mess, I think. But anyways, a wall of mess of both devices, patch panel, and networking equipment. And so ahead of time, I was like, and on top of that, like all of my network cable that I ran a long time ago is actually terminated into that patch panel. It's punched down on there, like it's cut and patched like properly. And so I was like, I don't want to like destroy that. Like if we ever move, I just want the next person that moves in is like, hey, we got a patch panel here with Cat 6, great, And I didn't want to terminate that all the way down to my server rack. And so a couple of things I decided that I wasn't going to do any kind of permanent changes. So I ended up buying more Cat 6 than I normally would have. I could have created the cables myself, but I have very little patience for that. I'm not great at it. I'm probably like when I crimp down, I have crimping tools. I have extra Cat 6 cable. I have boots. I have all that stuff. I've done it before. And I have keystones that would even go. I could have got a 12 patch panel and extended it, or 24. But I'm like, my failure rate is like 1 in 4. It's bad. When I score the wire, pull it off, get the copper breaks, then I gotta do it again, crimp them down, I forgot the boot, so hopefully slide the boot on the other end, all that stuff, and then crimp it down, that might break. So, 1 in 4 for me is just toast. And so I didn't have a ton of time for it. So I kind of went into it assuming that I'm gonna buy cables, decently length cables, and put those in place. The keystones for me, the RG45 extenders, it was super nice. I was like, I was gonna buy these overpriced ones, and then I realized, like, Amazon recommended, like, hey, you might also like this. I'm like, that's exactly what I need, and they're super cheap. So while I don't have the best length of cable, I have something that's not as permanent as like redoing my whole my network in my patch panel. So anyways, I planned ahead thinking that. And so if you're thinking like, why the heck didn't he just like do it proper? It's because I kind of wanted to just be able to put my rack in place, move all that stuff over, and use a lot of the stuff that I had there without making any permanent changes. And so that's not really something I learned. That's something I planned ahead of time, but I advise you, if you're thinking of making a change, if your networking equipment is over here and now it needs to go over there, those are some of the things you'll have to think about. The other thing I had to think about too is, and it was a kind of a pretty expensive decision, was going with the 24 port PoE, the Gen 2. Not cheap. And I tried to make the other ones work in my head. Sorry, Mint. I tried to make the other ones work in my head. They have a 16 port. I have an 18 port. I have PoE switches hanging off everywhere. And then I have these mini switches behind TVs because, I want to plug in all my devices and not go over wireless. And so, that's where I decided, like, okay, this is going to be the best bet for me. It was just buying a switch with enough ports. I could have gotten two of a different model, different make, whatever. But I have limited space in my rack. I'm told myself, and if you'd seen me talking about my 1U servers, that I have this dream of building these 1U servers. The reason is because I have limited rack space, and I want to keep it that way. I honestly don't want to go beyond an 18U, what I have now, because I think it's the perfect height for me. And while I would love one, 42U or even 24, I don't know if they make it 24. I thought Dell made like a half height one, 20-ish. I don't want to grow outside of there. So if you have extra space, you might be able to get, two 16 port switches and maybe save some money that way, or have some additional configuration that you can do. But what tipped the scale for me was having the two SFP plus ports in there. So it was like 24 ports, all PoE, it's UniFi. So it's gonna, join, or I can add it to my new network. And then it has SFP plus ports on top of that. And I've been so jealous, like, everyone getting these MikroTik switches for relatively cheap. I was just like, you know what? For all of that in 1U, it's hard to, and I know it's expensive, but there's very little competition in that space that you're not going to pay at least double for, So, and I know it's expensive, but like I said, 24 ports PoE, and 2 10 gig ports, like all this stuff. It's tough. So anyways, so those are the kind of things you might need to think through. Another thing is, if you don't have VLAN set up already, I highly advise getting that. Maybe not create the VLANs, but so something I ran into too was, I have my old network and I was going to move to this network, and it was just going to be unplug one, plug in the other. And so what did I learn from that? Well, so I was virtualizing my router before that, and UniFi. Oh, one thing I did learn, that this is actually very hard to find on the forums anywhere, is that the UniFi UDM Pro cannot act like, how should I say this, a standalone switch by itself. And it's the way I think the software is configured. So I thought in my head, okay, I'm going to make this a dumb switch, not use any of the UDM Pro stuff. My gateway now is whatever, .1. I'll put this guy as .3 for now, so that I can get all the ports, I can get everyone plugged in, migrate over the services, or migrate over all of my services and my Ethernet, and then, keep running my virtual firewall, and it'll just be a dumb switch. Yeah, it won't work. It won't work, and it's kind of crazy. So you have to actually, unless you're creating a whole new network and segment for it, if you're replacing things that already exist, you're going to have to kind of plan a little bit ahead. And so what I ended up doing was, okay, well, my UDM Pro, I'm going to act like, the LAN cable going into, or I didn't plug in, my WAN from my ISP. I actually grabbed another, network cable from my existing rack, or my existing switch, and plugged it into the WAN port, and then plugged a client directly into my laptop, into the UDM Pro, and configured it that way. And this took me a long time to figure out. It took me a long time to figure out, like, what is going on? Like, why can't I access, this guy on my existing network with a different IP. And so that was kind of crazy. And then, yeah, the other stuff is I would advise you, like if you're already running UDM for your access points and stuff, which I was, and fortunately, I was running the UniFi network already. So it was already seeing all of these existing devices, their MAC addresses, their names, and their IP addresses. So I would recommend, if you have it set up already, to actually create, if you can, create, well, you can't create a lease for them, but at least create aliases for them so that you know what they are. But if you're not migrating anything, I would highly suggest like setting up your DHCP scope ahead of time. So I did like this crazy thing. I was like using, I don't know, TeamViewer to remote into my other machine that was in the basement that's physically plugged into my UDM, which is uplinked from the WAN to my existing network, because I had to go through the internet because the way it was set up to actually get to this device to then configure the network. So if you're going to do any of that, I highly recommend, like if you're going to use DHCP reservations, do that before you even plug the thing in, because then you don't have to worry about leases and all that stuff. And I would suggest like setting up your networks, your VLANs, and your firewall rules ahead of time too. If you have a smaller network, no big deal. But by default, when you create new VLANs, the VLANs can talk to each other. And so for me, that was a no-go, because I'm like, you know, these VLANs should not be able to talk to each other, period. And yes, I could have configured a firewall rule really quick, but I wanted zero chance of that happening. And so for me, I set all of that up ahead of time. And I think a lot of you guys have seen the channel, It's My Natural Color. Like he has like the best setup guide for configuring a UniFi network controller, I think. You know, I'm not a networking administrator. And so, you know, I have, you know, limited knowledge of networking. It was never my full-time job. You know, I know enough to understand what I need to do, but then I still have to figure it out. And so if you want a guide, go see his channel, because his guide is fantastic. I will say, for some of his firewall rules, I think he ticks some checkbox at the end that's like, I think one of the checkbox he ticks at the end, you don't want to do it, because that will mean that any request from the source network can talk to the destination network, which seems fine if you have two VLANs. But if you have multiple and you take that for all of them, then all of a sudden, all of them can communicate to the other one as long as they initiate the traffic first. Hey, Stormtrooper. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. So what I ended up doing then was just UDM has actually great documentation on this. They're like, if you want VLAN 1 to communicate with VLAN 2, do this. If you don't want them to communicate, do this. If you want source traffic, the original request from VLAN 1 to talk to VLAN 2, but VLAN 2 not to, communicate with VLAN 1, here's what you do. And so I followed his guide and then modified it with UniFi's documentation. And maybe in his environment that worked fine. But for me, I realized, holy cow! Now my IoT network can talk to my server VLAN as long as they initiate the traffic. And so, anyways, if you see his video, it is so good. It is so well done. He's a great speaker too, and it's so detailed. You won't find anything better out there, I think, than It's My Natural Color. Which is funny because like when I saw his logo, I'm like, I didn't know who he was, and I've seen it pop up on YouTube. You know how the algorithm works. You look at something kind of sort of like it, and then you're like, oh, you see this thing, and then eventually you click on it, and now you're seeing all their stuff. I had no idea that it was a guy who had white hair, but his avatar, I was like, is this? I couldn't tell. Yeah. Anyways, long story short, he has fantastic videos, and they're really detailed and better than any documentation I could find out there. The UI documentation is okay. It's okay. The funny thing is, like, anytime you Google anything for UniFi, you find their forums of people having problems, once again, I think they need better SEO on their documentation. And I'm not saying that the forums aren't helpful, but a lot of times they're dead ends of problems that are still out there for UniFi that they need to fix. So, so anyways, long story short, that's a great question. I did learn a ton of stuff. I could probably talk about it all day. It's kind of hard to just talk about it off the cuff because I should have documented some of this stuff along the way. I think I did in some of the videos, but not a lot of the challenges. A lot of the challenges were with my environment. I don't know if too many people, maybe they are, maybe they are doing some of the self-hosting stuff I'm doing along with cutting over and doing this migration. But yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things I ran into. But the most surprising one, like I said, was that you can't use the UDM Pro as like a dumb switch and not plug in the WAN, like because its gateway, it expects the IP you assign to it to be the gateway for the network, and things go all crazy if not. So anyways, and if you really want to do that, do what I did. Plug the WAN, an existing LAN port into the WAN port of the new UDM, and then plug a laptop or a device directly into that and configure it that way before you cut over. Even after I cut over, I had lots of odd problems, because I was virtualizing my firewall before, and Proxmox. I had to figure out how to do VLANs and Proxmox, and it ended up being super easy, a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. And I think the PC Geek had mentioned it to me the other night. He was like, yeah, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and set that up. That's as simple as ticking a checkbox, rebooting the server, and then your virtual machines have a virtual LAN. And so then for me, I had to go through and think, okay, now, because all of my networks before were private, were virtualized networks within Proxmox. Like my DMZ, a lot of my IoT stuff, or different traffic, I'll just say it that way, was physically separated with a virtual network. I didn't use VLANs. And so I had to rethink all of that. So, and actually build VLANs. So I learned a ton. First time ever plugging in a DAC cable too. Well, wasn't the first time ever plugging it in. No, it wasn't. Well, yeah. I'll say a DAC. Yep, a DAC. Because I've done other connectors that are similar. But yeah, that was a learning experience too. And UDM just figures out a route and figures out how to uplink your UDM to your switch. I was like, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. Easier than I remembering it being, 10 years ago when, I'd have to ask for network changes. Anyways, I'm rambling, but learned a ton of stuff. And so it was super fun. Techno might just see if mod a cheap transmitter to be under the power limits. So within the FCC specs. Nice. Gorfy, guessing you might just try to hop off soon. Enjoy your evening, man. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Let's see here. I don't really want to spend $100 on a proper transmitter. We'll do it with headphone splitter though. Yeah. Yeah. And if, if I don't mean to tack on requirements to your project, I just thought it'd be cool. And I thought maybe you were doing it already. If not, stream it. I mean, something's got to be playing that music to begin with through somewhere, and just set up a quick streaming audio service and have a website, and then it doesn't take, then it's all software after that, well, you'll probably need, you could probably do it with an old sound card. But yeah, sounds awesome. Sedated, I prefer modular keystones as well. Punch downs are a pain. Yeah, good call. I didn't know these things exist. Well, I knew they exist, but I didn't think I could just buy one fully filled with it. So it was pretty awesome. To get that, I do wish that they made a half U one. I know that's an extreme edge case where I'm counting every U in my rack and half U, but they don't make one. And there are ones where that do have punch downs that are half U, but I didn't want to go through all that. But yeah. No, I really wish I could find SFP plus DAC cables and LC fibers under 50 centimeters. Yeah, I don't know how much 50 centimeters are, but mine are 6 inches, and I wish they were even smaller. I'm sorry. I'm terrible on metric conversion. Weather or centigrade, I'm kind of okay. Measurement, not so much. Volume, a little bit too. Takano, the only thing I saw only thing I saw is the shielded keystones. I'm not sure you use shielded cables and such along with that. Plastic keystones would stop the shielding. Yeah, I totally agree. So I'm not using Cat6a, I think, right, is where shielding is introduced. So I didn't, on those keystones. And like I said, this is a temporary thing. I just didn't want to cut or replace a patch panel. I just didn't want to do any manual stuff because my skill in there is pretty poor, and it's time consuming, right? Like I get it that I could create a ton of cables and stuff, but yeah, it was super time consuming. My time was so limited, so I just bought stuff. And I did buy the cheapest ones ever. They're not shielded at all, but I'm not using Cat6a. I think that's, where I would need additional shielding, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, and like I said, we may move at some point in time, so I didn't want to make any permanent changes. I was just like, nope, bought a 10-pack of these guys for a couple bucks. That's what this is happening. Actually, may be wrong in that regard. Oh, you're talking about your previous comment. Este BZ, hey, I'm a newbie to coding. Any tips for someone who doesn't have a degree? Este BZ, yeah, sorry it took so long to get your comment. Yeah, great question. Just do. That's what I say. I say just do. And what I mean by that is you just gotta, if you really want to get into software development and coding and in general, pull something down, try it out, figure it out. I think a lot of, and it depends on what platform, what language, what you're targeting, like all of those things will play into what you need to learn and what you need to look at. So if you're, you want to do back-end stuff, you might want to do lower level, C type stuff, lower level languages. You might want to do something super high level like JavaScript and target web or target mobile. So I think you might want to, if you're going to pursue it and you want to be kind of, successful or carve a path, figure out what you want to target. I know that there are plenty of languages that are cross-platform where you can really explore languages and figure out how they work and get things working. But I've always found, at least for me, in order to learn, set up a small project where you want to accomplish something. Because these are the same things I do on a day-to-day. I pick up user stories, they have some requirements, and I have to write code to make that work. And so I would advise to you, if you're planning on doing that, is to write a simple requirement for you. It might be just, hey, print hello world inside of a browser on a web server, and do it in JavaScript or something like that. And so write, a small requirement and try to do it. I also learn by repetition too. So for me, I've a lot of things I've done many, many, many times. Hey, M. Catanio. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. But for me, I learned through repetition, and I've done a lot of stuff a lot of times. But in the beginning, I had to do the same thing kind of over and over and over until I kind of understood how things were working. And so, it's kind of a broad topic, but there's so much information out there. There's so many good. There's learning platforms, Pluralsight, Udemy, and you name it. Lots of stuff out there. But then there's also free platforms out there too, like YouTube. There's so much free content out there that will help you try to learn. So there are books too. I've never been terribly successful at learning how to program through a book. I did learn a lot about language nuances, software architecture, and patterns through books. But really at the end of the day, it took me writing a code, picking my tool set, kind of important. Your IDE or your editor, not as important, but that's where you're gonna start living. Your day will evolve around an editor or an IDE. Picking that and figuring out how that works, setting up your environment, write a small project, and going from there. And then once you get it running or not running, debugging that application is a huge part of being a developer too. So it's write it, break it, put in breakpoints, figure out why it broke, and then fix it. Anyways, hope that helps. I could talk all day about this stuff, but yeah, hopefully that helps you. Let me know. Stay busy. PC Geek, Takano, I think you're right. Shielding, you have to use all shielded. Since the shielded cables all have a metal connector, which is how the shielding connects to the plastic keystones. It just kills the shielding. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I totally agree though. I use the plastic ones because they're cheap, and then like, I didn't think I needed higher shielding until 6A. I don't know. I could be wrong. Mane Kuli Mitin. I was looking at this one from Microtik, the CSS326-24G2S Plus RM. Nice. Yakub, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I'm not familiar with that one. Not familiar with that. Takano, I just mentioned it. Since shielded keystones are super pricey compared to plastic ones, which is why I don't go with them. I just don't see the need. Yeah. For the shielding, or maybe not the shielding. Yeah. I just need to extend some Cat 6, just 5 feet. PC Geek, probably not needed though, unless you're in a high RF environment. Don't think shielding is needed, or near a power plant. Yeah. Takano, yeah, shielding isn't really needed unless you have super high RF levels or 10 gig via Ethernet. Yeah, that's where I was going. The 10 gig via Ethernet with 6A, I think, is where it's required. Yeah. No route. I'm maxing out the gigabit NIC in my NAS with the new array. Yeah, nice. Oh my gosh. So you're, gig? Wait, gig or 10 gig? What are your thoughts on Meraki devices? We kind of talked about this earlier. I don't have a strong opinion about Meraki devices. I think that, it's a company that Cisco bought, I think, because correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a company that Cisco bought that thought they were doing great things, doing similar things to, I think, what UniFi is doing. They're an innovative company, and I think Cisco purchased them. And I could be totally wrong. This is going from what my friend said along with part of the internet. And they're just kind of letting them operate as kind of their own, independent brand or a company underneath Cisco. And so I don't know a ton about them. To be honest, a buddy of mine who does network stuff, this was about 3 weeks ago, was like, yeah, you should check out Meraki stuff. We use it at work. So I kind of did a little digging. And so I think they're a lot more expensive than some of the UniFi stuff, and they are targeting medium, small, large businesses and enterprises, and so it was kind of out of my price range. And plus, I already had UniFi access points here, and so again, I was kind of searching for deeper integration. But yeah, if someone uses Meraki stuff, let me know. I've heard, I will say, I've heard nothing but good things from all two people who know what I'm talking about. When I mentioned it, only 2 people ever, but I haven't been talking about it that much too. Manakula Maitin, I was thinking about using the APU 4D D4 as a firewall with OpenBSD. Nice. No route. I like how the engineering tag translates to Bu Kunde. What? Bu Kunde in Dutch. I don't. Yeah. Does that mean engineering in Dutch? Because that's pretty awesome. Sedated default VLAN hopping. Ew, yeah, this is going back to that. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't know. And I actually found it in the documentation when I was trying to fix a firewall rule or apply one and hopping on that on my different VLANs. I'm like, how can I ping, some other device across some other VLAN? And I think that's the default setting for a UniFi network when you set up VLANs, which I was kind of surprised. I'm not used to that. Usually you have to do a lot of work to get them to communicate, or at least I didn't have to. I had to talk to a whole bunch of network people. Well, but this is way back in the day for me. Bu Kunde is about developing buildings and housings. All right, yeah. Yeah, so maybe the tag means, a different kind of engineering and not software engineering. I don't know. I chose it because I was like, why not? Include no IMNC. It's my natural color. Yeah, he's great. I totally agree. You know him in real life. Include no. Awesome. Well, tell him I said his 3-part series on the UniFi stuff is fantastic. Especially, at least for me, the last part in the series, because I followed his guide and it just made sense to me. And sometimes I need people to explain things to me, and maybe it's because I'm lazy, or maybe it's how I learn. Sometimes I get lost in documentation and forums and people's opinions, and I get it that that's just his opinion, but he is a great communicator, and he mixes in a lot of his personality, which I think is another reason why his video and his channel is successful. Seems like such a great person and personality. I did laugh out loud when he said, like, there was a part in it where he was like talking about his Ethernet, and was just saying if one of his friends came and asked to plug into his Ethernet, he would probably, one, he would let him because it was a friend, and two, he would be super happy because his nerdy friend would ask to plug in an Ethernet cable. I don't know. There was a small joke in there, and I laughed out loud because I was like, yeah, I probably only have 4 or 5 people in my life who would be like, do you have an Ethernet cable I could plug in? And I would be overjoyed at the same time, because I'd be like, well, actually, yes, I do. I have, I have hardwired Ethernet here in my house. Anyways, Shuckle Samurai, is there a guide in the Discord, or can someone recommend a guide for setting up VPN and pfSense? Not that I'm aware of. That I've done. But you can ask that same question in the networking channel on Discord. I'm sure people have lots of experience doing that. Shuckle Samurai, to clarify, I have pfSense running. Just need to set up a way to VPN into the network. Gotcha. Gotcha. You probably need a DNS to point to, an IP to point to, and probably open up. And you probably need it configured, and yeah. But maybe the networking channel. I don't know anything off the top of my head for sure. I allude, you guys are on it. Takano, oh no, I was thinking of doing it. Might debate it. This is the radio online. No, won't streaming introduce latency? Yeah, it could. You're right. Yeah, so you would want to go radio. Yeah, good call. Because even like, 100 millisecond latency. I mean, if it's a light show, it needs to be spot on, Yeah, it's a good call. Takano, or you could I'm trying to think how you could code around that latency. You just introduce negative latency with the lights, but probably not possible. I was just thinking of how you do it in audio video. You just bump one back or forward. But Takano, most likely that's a thing I didn't consider. Side effects are very time-based. Yeah, I didn't think about it either until you just said it. But then I was going like, okay, well, how do we sync up audio and video when I'm editing? You bump one back or the other, and same in OBS. But the video that you're seeing, it would be tough, because then the people who are using radio or listening to it right then and there, it'd be off for them. Hey, Dan, oh man, I apologize with names. Correct me if I'm wrong. Danilo Mello. Danilo Mello. I apologize. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Correct me on your name. I'd love to pronounce your name properly. So I appreciate it. Let's see here. Side effects, very time-based. 50 centimeters, about 20 inches. Oh, nice. PC Geek Campers, you don't succeed, for sure. Impulse 9, is there any good introduction to Docker Rancher versus Kubernetes? I'm just trying to get started, but I feel like I may be looking at too much infrastructure too early. Yeah, that's a great question. So if you just want to figure out Docker by yourself, there's plenty of awesome tutorials on YouTube for that. I think Network Chuck even has a super high level on what Docker is, and how to use it really quickly. So I think he has a good introduction to Docker. And then from there, if you decide like, hey, you know what, I want to learn some more advanced things, you can move on to Kubernetes. And that's, I'm not going to lie, that's super advanced. But yeah, plenty of stuff out there. I mean, if you want something high level and be entertained and high production quality and talks about the basics and gets you going, I think Network Chuck has one on Docker. And ignore Kubernetes stuff. But if you want to do then Kubernetes, Rancher or Portainer now are good intros into that, where they kind of, they kind of mask some of the inner workings of Kubernetes from you. Whether that's good or bad, that's to be decided. But yeah, you can check out those two. Live Crashy, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Include no, I have a CS. Oh, you have the 24 port. I think that's the MikroTik. Nice. I don't know that device. I should look it up. Impulse 9. I never thought I needed a shielded cable until a recent project. We ended up having, hey, Tinkerfoo. Hey, thanks for the resub. Tier 1. 2 months. Wow, 2 months already. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, lights are working. I need to get these lights working permanently. Or just always run the bot on my machine. But that's no fun. Anyways, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Impulse 9, I never thought I needed shielded cables until a recent project. We ended up having to use Cat 8 with ferrite on each end of the 20-foot cables due to FM bleed through. That's interesting. Yeah, wow. Cat 8 and ferrite on each end. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Yeah, I haven't, I mean, you know, I don't run much here, but I could see where that could be a problem in like industrial applications too, or commercial or even industrial. Yeah, for sure. Let's see, Tinkerfoo, STBZ, try also to read and understand code of experienced developers. Yeah, that's a great point too. Yeah, Docker and Docker getting started tutorials on their site. I totally agree. They have some too. Impulse 9, is there a good site for explaining where one is more appropriate than the other? I'm just not wanting to recreate the same work over and over again at multiple sites. Yeah, I mean, if you just want to learn Docker, Docker's a great place to start. Like, you know, I mean, because they're going to give the authoritative, you know, opinion or advice on what Docker is and how to use it. Everything else is, you know, people's interpretation or people's application of how they use it. That might be good or bad. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you want something high level that's like 10 minutes, I think 10, 15 minutes long, just to kind of like enjoy and observe before you dive in, I think Network Chuck has one, and I think it's pretty okay. I think it's good. And then you can decide, okay, this is something I want to dive into a little bit more. But yeah, Docker's very own site. People have complained about the documentation before. I've seen that it's gotten a lot better. You know, for sure. But let me know. Yeah, and like Ilud mentioned, yeah, hop in Discord. We can talk about it. We can post links. We can point you in the right direction too, or continue this conversation. You know, beyond this. Wolf Norek, when I first tried to do anything in Kubernetes, I thought that my head will explode. Doing it in shell didn't help. I totally agree too. I felt that same way about Docker too when I first did it. I was like, what? And I was doing it all from the terminal too. And I was learning from the DevOps folks who were sitting, you know, right across from me. And I was like, this is, you know, my brain, I can't grok this. I need some time to grok this, you know. And they're like, it's so easy. It's just docker run -it, and that's interactive mode, and then run this. But, you know, you might want to run it as a daemon. Then you have to map some volumes. If you do run as a daemon, here's how you exec it. And I'm like, what? I'm just like, what are you guys talking about? Like, this is a foreign language to me. And so I think it's, you know, it's like anything you learn. You need to kind of understand it. You need to try it. You need to experience it. And I think it'll grow over time. You know, and a lot of these tools that are out there now are trying to, you know, obfuscate or you know, abstract, you know, a lot of these concepts from you so that you don't have to figure out how to, you know, spin up, you know, a Docker container by itself. You tell Kubernetes to spin up a pod, which is a collection of possibly containers, which, yeah. And so, yeah, it's, they're all building blocks. And so you kind of gotta break pieces off. And so if you are thinking your end goal is to learn Kubernetes, yeah, you might want to start with Docker just to kind of understand the fundamentals of how it works, I think. But yeah, Ilud, if you want to blow your brain, do Kelsey Hightowers Kubernetes the hard way. I haven't seen it. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I like doing Linux from scratch. I haven't. I haven't seen it, but I can imagine it's probably pretty complex. And I think some people lately have been asking in Discord too about setting up Kubernetes from scratch, which I think is pretty interesting. I think you were talking about it. I think XOR was talking about it too, and so it's like an interesting concept of like I know that Linux. I know that Kubernetes has distributions, just like Linux has distributions. But it would be interesting to set it up from scratch, because then you kind of understand the bits and the pieces that go into it. And even if you don't totally understand what they do, at least you're like, oh yeah, I remember running this command to actually install this thing, and this this runs the kubelet service or something like that. Anyways, Linux from scratch was fun. Tinkerfoo, you've actually done that. I haven't. I should at some point, just for fun, to see if it can compile or run. Because yeah, it sounds super interesting to build it from the ground up for sure. Yeah. Oh man. Couple of things. I went real quick. What are we looking at? What time are we looking at for? Okay. I had originally planned to upgrade my FreeNAS server live, which might be kind of boring. So I don't think I have enough time to now, however. I do want to, encourage you to join Discord if you haven't already. I'm not totally wrapping it up, but kind of wrapping it up. But at the same time, I kind of want to raid someone. I feel like I got raided a couple of times, and I need to be a good community member, and I want to raid someone too. It's just I totally forget, and I shouldn't forget. But I do want to raid someone that I probably either haven't raided before or should. And I think there's a lot of people in here that I think would probably enjoy some of the channels. At least I'm going with what Twitch is recommending to me. But before I do that, real quick, I want to first, before we hop in and raid someone, I do want to call out a couple of things. One, absolutely, thank you for being here. Techno is fast on the Discord. He's ready. One, thank you so much for being here and spending time in the channel. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate all the questions, the feedback, the comments, everything that you guys are putting in chat and maybe not putting in chat. Just lurking and just being here is absolutely totally fine. And I truly appreciate it. There were lots of follows. There were lots of subs and lots of sub gifts, and I really, really appreciate that. But and I appreciate that tremendously. And it's never asked for or never required, but I do appreciate it so much. And the other thing is, real quick, Takano already posted the Discord link, but if you're new here, yeah, join the Discord. Lots of questions, lots of conversations that don't have to just end here. They can go on within our Discord community that we're all in. And then, I just wanted to, thank you guys for being here. I'm kind of repeating myself, but I don't know how else to say thank you other than thank you. I always, I don't know, I say thank you a lot, and I wish I could find a different word for it, but I truly appreciate you guys being here. And so, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to raid someone. I think I'm going to let the Twitch algorithm do its work and see who it recommends I should be watching, or at least someone kind of that I should be watching. It's the same person that we raided last time. All right, who else is live? I want to raid someone within the science and tech. Let me put this. Maybe I can put this here. Let me put this. Can I do this? Let's change it here. I think that's okay. So I'm looking for someone in science and tech, and I want to raid someone. So obviously it's suggesting me that's not going to work. This other channel, not going to do that. I think I've raided Lana before. But I want to raid someone. I don't know anything about Zuratar or CM Griffin doing web dev. Yeah, I'm open to suggestions. Strawberry Hacker. This kind of sounds okay. Is there someone really in this channel? Because I don't see a ton of, I don't see a face. That's okay. But before I forget, real quick, here's some emojis. If you don't know what to post when we raid, I pick some for you. You can copy and paste that. We're going to raid someone. And so who do we want to raid? I think I'm going to go with Disc Room Game Jam. Disc Room Game Jam? It sounds like a winner. Let me go here and let me check a couple of things. Oh, of course, they're going to show an ad. Okay. And so we're going to raid this person. So copy and paste. I'll put it in chat again. I'll copy and paste that and just, you know, paste it in their channel and let them know that, hey, you appreciate them and maybe this will work out okay. But anyways, before I leave, thank you again. I will be back Tuesday, 7 Central. And I appreciate you guys being here. All right, here we go. Let's raid. Can I just do a slash raid here? Because we're doing it. Oh, I need to do it for my old channel. Can't I just click a button? This used to be easier. Yeah, this is not. They used to have, I thought, a raid button. All right, I'm going old school, and I'm going to use command line to do it. And we're going to do it from here. All right, guys. There we go. Here we go. It's going. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get your emojis ready. Thank you so much. You guys have a great night. Have a great weekend. And be good to each other.